We're going to go to UK tonight, aren't we? Going to go to the UK and see what Paul Hannaby is up to in about what, half an hour or so?
That's correct. That is correct, Eddie.
Hey, Doug,
Got to see what
how
Paul's
did
up
the
to.
symposium go?
I left it as a surprise on what he's going to be doing tonight. So, you know, as always, it's always going to be a good one coming out of Paul.
Hey, Doug, how'd the symposium go?
Symposium was great. Walked in, I see folks from England that I know, and I see Jeff Hornig, who's at Walnut Log. Saw people that I only know through the live chats. You know, on YouTube. That it was great. Saw the outlaw Carl Jacobson. Spoke with him for quite a while.
Still got your wallet?
Yeah, I kept
Okay.
hand on my wallet the whole time.
All right, got to watch him.
Yeah. He happens to have a Worldwide Woodturners sticker right now.
That's great.
As well as he should. Yes, he should. Yes.
That's right. I gave several of them out. Yes. Was kind of fun. I was over in the instant gallery looking at some things. A couple of pieces just really caught my attention. I was kind of examining them fairly close, and a couple ladies come walking up, and they're having this discussion that was way out there on finishes and stuff, and so we got in a real good conversation about finish and different techniques of turning. I thought they were together, but they weren't together at all. Both of those ladies walked off with stickers. They were quite interesting.
I was sure
Good.
jealous when I seen your post. Should have been there.
The video of all the gallery.
Oh no, just the post of the symposium.
Oh yeah, it was good.
Doug, do you have anything there? Did you have anything in the instant gallery?
No, I didn't take a thing. I should have, but I did not.
Well,
Because I was only there for one day.
I really enjoyed your video, Doug. That was a very good cross section of what was in the Insta gallery.
Oh yeah,
It was good.
that was 148, 149 of the gallery entries. There were another 20 or 30 pieces that I did not get a picture of. All the stuff, if you've ever been to one of the AAW symposiums, you know, they usually have a section set aside of the big names. They had some Lyle Jameson stuff there. They had some Ben Foe stuff there. Of course, all the stuff that was in the auction, the benefit auction, all of that was over in that separate section. I didn't get a picture of any of that. I was just about to start when they said, we're closing this area off now so we can move everything to the auction. Okay. So I didn't get any of those pieces. Some of them
I saw quite a few of those. I saw Rebecca's and Sally Alt's and some of the
Yes.
other pieces, some really nice pieces.
there really were. It was a lot of fun. It was a good one.
Good.
Next
Doug,
up
did you
is
get the bells done?
Did I get the bell done? Yes.
The bells, yeah.
Yeah. In
Good
fact,
job.
I'll show them to you here after a while.
Okay.
Hey, I'm gonna
But I
sign
hope-
out and sign in on my computer, okay, guys?
All right, Brenda.
No.
We might let you back in, Brenda.
No? Okay. Okay.
Should I put you down for gallery now, or do you want to wait and get in the queue later?
Let me go after our demonstration.
You're gonna get in the queue later.
Yes, sir.
Later.
Right on. Brenda, you're still here.
Yeah, I know. I'm still waiting for the computer. I didn't want to log out yet until I can get on there. All right, I'm
There's
leaving.
Mr. Paul.
Yay,
How you doing?
Paul.
You hear me okay?
We got
Yep.
you loud
that's
and
great,
proud.
sir.
That's good.
5 by 5.
Now, Paul is going to be our demonstrator later on. We're going to surprise you with the program he's going to provide for tonight's meeting. And tonight is meeting 192, Worldwide Woodturners. And if you're interested in being part of this program, and I say program because there are about 10 different co-hosts locked in right now, and they're all members just like you are. But they've all said, hey, how can I help? Oh, can I do this? Can I help yet? And sometimes we need a little bit of help to keep things in order. So, and that's why we invite you to be part of it. There are no restrictions. The pay doesn't change. The charge doesn't change. So it make out pretty good. We got a few minutes before we get into gallery or our demonstration. I have to let you know your next opportunity to spend time with family, wood turning family, may be SWAT, which is coming up the last weekend in August. It's held in Waco, Texas. I'll be there, and we will all be passing out stickers for worldwidewoodturners.org. In fact, we've got a couple of members of dedicated classes to have meetings for us at that site. They probably aren't aware of all the details, but we'll get there. And we're also looking for input from members on different galleries and different techniques. Now, let me tell you, I've been watching some of the videos. I didn't get to participate in the show in a meeting or two. So I was watching them on the world's greatest wood turning website, the one Dave puts together for us at worldwidewoodturners.org. And it is just flat out the best in the world. All right, so I've been watching the demonstrations, and you can too. And you can watch pieces of the demonstrations or pieces of the meetings, see the entire chat. All that's available on our website, all for free, no access codes, anything else. It's just there. All right. What I did notice was a couple of times recently we've had seasoned turners have a piece abandon the lathe. Isn't that a nice way to put it? The piece abandoned the lathe. You know, that could be a forced tucker knob or whatever. It left, and they had to get back. Now, how do you get that piece back in center once something's happened to it? I am looking for, just like you were probably looking for, all those tips and tricks on how do you bring something back up the center, especially if you snap the tenon off, or you fractured the base, or you lost the center, or something like that. How would you bring that piece back? What would you do that you have in your shop? You don't have to go anywhere and buy a gizmo.
Out in the fire pit.
No, we're talking salvation, not
I'm ready
Put
to.
her back in. Put her back in.
I tell you what, Eddie, I got a piece on the lathe. Oh, actually, it's not on the lathe right now because today it came off the lathe for the third time. And it's about to go in the fire pit.
I'll teach it. All right.
I got a piece in my shop that's come off the lathe 3 times this week, broke the tenon already twice. And I'm not giving up on it because it's a big piece of red cedar. So,
But you see, there's ways to save it. What I'm looking for is not to raise the burning pit a little bit. I'm looking for ways to go back in and grab a piece, hold a piece, stabilize a piece, and it might be 2 or 3 steps you'll have to go through to save a piece that's worth saving. Or let me back it up a little bit. We turned and finished a piece, but didn't do the bottom right. And now I have to hold it and get the bottom done right. And I have to get it back in centric in order to get back and make it how are you going to hold it? Remember, if you can hold it, you can turn it. We're looking for suggestions and ideas. And maybe not this evening. If you've got a great idea, a great suggestion, throw it in chat. We'll get there. I watched one of our better demonstrators a couple of weeks ago. Line went up and he kept tapping and tapping and tapping and tapping to get back. And the whole time I'm thinking, you got the jig. It's right. It's go over there. And, but it was his demonstration. And I respected his demonstration. Actually, I want to say I was going to bail himself out. But that we're looking for that. But other techniques like that we're all open to. So if you've got a situation where you can't figure out how to fix it, throw it in our direction. If you have a way that you can fix it, throw it in our direction. And soon we're going to be doing another Jim Duxbury hour, which if you don't know, Jim Duxbury is our shop gizmo gadget host. who's always
Extraordinaire.
coming up with something. Oh, extraordinaire.
You
Always
too.
coming up with something. And he'll show us something, and Billy Bird will see it, take it to the shop and make it a little bit better and bring it back. Jim Duxbury isn't going to be upset, done by that. He goes back and improves on what Billy Bird did and comes back with another version, and it's gone back and forth. And you get to see things that these guys make in their shop for their turning with their tools, their equipment, and it's some beautiful stuff. And it's all available. One more item. Christmas is coming. You've heard that your whole life, haven't you? Isn't it time for some decoration ornaments for your grandkids, nieces, nephews, fun little people to give things to? You have 20 people over for dinner for Thanksgiving. Why not 20 little pendants or stick-ons or doohickeys or earrings or whatever? So we're looking for a little feedback on that from you members. And it is awesome to see somebody create something in their shop with their tools, their gizmos, their gadgets. And right here, that's what we're looking for. If you got a gallery item, we've got the queue going tonight. And we got a few folks who say I'd like to jump on board. I'm seeing a lot of old familiar faces popping in. Dane Chandler handles our gallery, and if he introduces you, as soon as Dane says your name, get prepared, jump on board. I mean,
Right.
It's your turn. Whose name? Whose
Don't
name?
make it so difficult. Like Mr. Goblet's here. Hey, Mr. Goblets.
Mr. Goblet. There he is.
All right. Well, I do have a few goblets. We'll do those last. So I've been finishing up pieces of wood that are in my shop that have been sitting around for a while, and little bits of scrap and so on. So the first one I'm going to show is this little piece of red oak that I made a little kind of a bowl out of. And I really like red oak. It's pretty with all of those rays and stuff. And the little black marks are because it's wet. And I sat it down on my table saw, and it interacted with the steel like the bloody mallet did. And I've got this piece of cherry that I just turned to. I did that yesterday, so I got my little logo deal there.
Ready?
So this is fun, and I really like this cherry. It's really pretty. And then I've got another piece of cherry that has been been sitting in my shop for a while, and I finished it. And I like OGs on the bottom, so and I've got some. And this does have the pith right through it, so I had to do some sanding. And can y'all see that? There we go.
Yep.
There's the pith, and
There
a
you
nice
go.
crack. So
Yeah.
I had to do some gluing and sanding, and it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it, and it's got some really cool figure in it. I don't know if you can see that in there,
Yep.
right there. I don't know. It doesn't show up real well
What
here on
I
the camera.
what I see when you flashed it was no rings, no grooves, no lines. That inside is like it's poured plastic. That is gorgeous.
Thank you. And this is I mean, this looks like a satin finish. It's got a lacquer finish on it. And it's just sort of sanded back and multiple coats of lacquer, but it's not a real plasticized shiny finish. It is smooth, and in the light you can see it, but it's not really that shiny or plasticky, if you know what I mean. So, and I'm real happy with that. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but so and then this piece still needs a little bit of finishing. This is from the burl fiasco last week, where I was throwing some burls off. The burls were shattering, and this is the one that survived. So I had some real shallow burl caps, but I need some cleanup, need some sanding in the middle here. And then I've got this piece. This is box elder.
Ooh.
It's retained the color, so it's really pretty.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm real happy with how it's turned out, so to speak. And I got some natural edge going on. And this was actually the bit where the chainsaw was. So I torqued it up and muddied it up a little bit, and it looks like it's part of the piece. So it's
Cool.
And then I've got a few natural edge goblets. So I got this one. This is silver maple.
Nice.
And the pith is right through the middle.
Mm.
So it's a
What's that?
branch.
So what
And that's how
finish
you-
are you putting on that, Matt?
This is spar urethane, Helmsman's Minwax Helmsman spar urethane clear gloss.
Looks great.
I don't know how many coats it's got on it, but it's got a lot of coats on it. This one's big.
Nice.
And the spar urethane, yeah, it's nice. Same sort of deal. Pith is right through the middle. And I really like this, the silver maple. It's got some really cool figure in the bark. And it's one of the
Mhm.
reasons why I cut things this way, because so I get more of the bark in it. You know what I mean? Because I think it adds a lot to the pieces. So there you go. That's my offering for tonight.
Right on. Thanks, Matt.
Nice.
My pleasure.
Great
Thank
work.
you.
Beautiful work, man.
All right, let's go to, let's see, Howard Johnson.
Hey,
Yeah,
how we
buddy.
doing?
Yeah, keep talking. We'll get you
Yeah,
here.
here we are. Here we are. I've got a little piece here that I carved out. It's made out of spalted hackberry. And you really
Yeah.
can't tell a whole lot about it from this camera. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. If I can get it to do it. Hold on a sec. Here we go. Okay, share screen. This one. There. You can see it a little bit better how what I did, it was really, I turned it the outside, then I hollowed out the inside. Then I took a piercing bit and I went all the way around all of these spalted places and then carved it. I determined which parts I was going to carve out, which I was going to leave, and I carved all that out. And
Mhm.
here's another picture.
I see Snoopy.
Kind of see it. Now, don't make fun of my spaceship.
I see Aladdin's lamp.
Anyway,
That's
there's no
a
green
very
in there.
nice piece.
But anyway, it's
Yes, gorgeous.
Very nice.
yeah.
I see
anyway,
Donald Duck.
Anyway, a little bit of texture on the top and some nice little feet, so.
Yes, beautiful texturing.
Let's see the legs, the feet.
Okay, just a second. Let me pull you up here and
The
here.
texture's gorgeous.
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm new at this Zoom stuff, so.
You're doing
What are
great.
you doing?
Here we go.
You're doing
Can
good.
you see that? Here's the
You
leg.
gotta-
Here's
You
the
need to,
leg.
you need to take your screen share off
Okay.
so we can see
Oh,
your
Or
main
stick
camera.
photos.
Okay.
Photos in screen share, which will share those photos.
Okay, forget pause share. Okay, pause share. And there it is. Okay, there we go. There's the feet. This is there.
Nice.
Basically what I did, I turned a little bowl and then took
Purple it out.
and cut it out with scroll saw.
Mm.
Sanded it down to a point and just glued it to the bottom.
Wow,
Nice. Very
Texture
nice.
on the
Yeah,
bottom, too.
excellent. Very nice.
that is cool.
That is
Cool.
beautiful.
Definitely.
That's right. Very flying saucer-ish, yes.
Yes.
Very nice.
Anyway, thanks for letting me share.
Right on.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Howard. All right.
That's a great idea. That's so nice. So nice. Thank you.
Sure. Let's go to Mr. Grandpa here. Hey, Dave. Put the little one away, I see.
Yeah, he had to go to bed. I just want to show Eddie, not everything can be saved.
Give me a little time.
Very good.
But I didn't get any shop time this week, but I thought I'd show you my first successful piece. It was 6 years ago.
That's ready.
And,
Love
and
it.
it's crabapple.
Really?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And since I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know how to hollow, I just put a test tube in it,
Perfect.
like a mud vase. But
That's fully legitimate.
yeah,
Love it.
but that was the first piece I did that I said,
What kind
well,
of
maybe I can
finishes
do
on that?
something. The finish is just shellac.
Beautiful. Beautiful shine.
Thank you.
Yep, looks great.
But my wife said that one's not going anywhere, so it has. And that's it for this week.
All right, thanks, Dave.
In about 10 minutes, folks, we're going to be going to our demonstrator tonight. It was Paul Hannaby in the United Kingdom. But first, we're going to go to Ron Vincent and see what he's got.
I'm here. Well, I've actually had a little shop time, and like Matt, I found a piece of oak that needed some turning. It was just a flat piece, but had to do something with it.
Nice.
And
Very
then
nice.
there was
Some
another
people don't like-
flat piece
some
of
people-
mahogany laying out there. So
Oh
Very
my,
nice.
it got turned. And like Matt, I like the OGs also. So,
gorgeous.
and a friend of mine who had a wedding a few years back had centerpieces for the tables, and he had small pieces and then bigger pieces. So he gave me a bunch of them. So I took the ambrosia maple that was the centerpieces and did something with them.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Oh my,
Have that, and then a small platter.
nice.
Wow, look at that starburst.
Dang.
That's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, it
I've seen
is.
throw them away. He says, "You got any use for them?" I said, "Yeah, I'll find something."
Mhm.
Great job.
Yeah.
Nice job, Ron.
Very nice.
That's all I have.
That's some real
Yes.
pretty wood.
All right, let's go to Charlie Bundy. Charlie.
Yes, sir. I'm here. Can you
Wave your
find
hand.
me?
Wave your hand. I can't see you.
There he is.
Yeah. I got you. I was just teasing.
I hadn't been in the shop for almost a month and a half. I was mad, angry at my lathe. My lathe wasn't working right, so I stayed away from it. The last couple days, I've made a few things. My daughter wanted a candle holder.
Pretty.
That's silver maple.
With coffee grounds?
Yep, it cracked on you. We
Yep.
got coffee grounds in it.
Yep.
And then, not to compete with birdhouse, Bob, but I made some birdhouses. All these birdhouses are pieces that were on the floor. So I don't know what most of the wood is.
That's pretty.
This one, I think the main body is apple wood. The top, I'm pretty sure, is box elder. The finial, I don't know.
Is that a little pink bird on there?
Yep.
Pink bird.
Yeah, too short.
Pink's
Too
my
short to be
favorite
a-
color.
Too short to be a pink flamingo.
Yep.
Made nothing.
Pretty. Ooh, I
I
love
like the lines in that one. It's nice.
Yep.
This was the top was actually split. I can't find it now, but it was split. I had to glue it back on and glue the bark on it back onto it to match the rest of it. There it is. There's the split.
Okay.
Nice save.
Looks like an old Prussian helmet.
It does.
Very nice.
There you go.
Well, I'm just.
Nice.
Good job there, Dave. Charlie.
No two match.
No. Is that plywood at the bottom for the body?
Pardon?
Is the
Yeah,
body
this is
plywood?
plywood.
Okay, okay.
I like plywood. It comes out pretty at times. Sometimes not too pretty.
Well, that's pretty too.
Nice.
Nice.
And then a couple months ago, I made a bowl with lid, and then right before I quit doing stuff a while back, I made another bowl. And then out of the pieces that were off of that bowl, I made a spear. Now, believe it or not, it's off the same branch and I didn't know it. Everything lined up on it.
How about that?
Cool. Very good.
That's all I got.
Very
Right
nice.
on.
Very nice.
Charlie.
Charlie?
Yes.
Charlie? Have you
Yeah.
turned them birdhouses since you decided that you weren't going to go in the workshop? You know, you said that you fell out with your lathe. Have you done them
So, and I turned all these afterwards.
afterwards? That's what I was going to say. Sometimes, if you fall off your horse or you fall off your bike, you're better off getting back on, just not riding as fast.
Well,
So
I've never had a problem with getting hurt.
Yeah,
on my
well,
lathe. But I know
sometimes-
there's guys in the club that have, and they've always said, if you're mad, angry, don't go near it.
Yeah, no, sometimes we all hit a brick wall, what we call a brick wall, and we don't know what we're going to turn, we can't be bothered to turn it. The lathe's not doing what we want it to do, so we just spit our dummies out and we walk away for a while. When really what you should do is just drop back a little bit. Don't try and be as doing the stuff that you want to do that might be a little bit more advanced than what you were doing. Drop back to what you're good at and what you can do easily, and then start progressing again. But it's good to see that you have got back in the workshop and you have made some lovely pieces afterwards.
I'll explain it in the name by just saying the brand of lathe I got. I have a Grizzly.
Good.
I'd rather, like Captain Eddie said in one of his videos, I would rather have a root canal than another Grizzly without Novocaine.
Okay, let's not keep referring to that. All right. My opinion of Grizzly has changed. That's what I'm saying. Let's not go there because the opinion didn't go up. All right.
I own several Grizzly tools, and the lathe is the only one I got problems with.
Yep.
Well, they come and they go.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut because it got me in trouble a long time ago on Grizzly. So.
Hey, Dane. Dane.
All I've got to say is that the best tool in your shop is the one between your ears. So if there's a problem with another tool, use your best tool to figure it out.
Yep.
That's a good way to put it.
True that.
Yes.
Sure.
Hey, Dane, did you
Great
see
advice,
that-
Matt.
Dane, did you see that Ron Norman had something to show?
Who?
Ron Norman had something to show.
No, I did not.
He was the first one to put something in chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did not see his. Well, let's go to Ron Norman, and then we need to go to our demonstration for the evening.
You
Ron,
mean
are you still there?
Here,
Ron
now you
Norman?
can do what you want.
Don Norton?
I saw him a minute ago.
There he
That's
is.
Don Norton.
Hi, Don.
Is that who you were talking about,
Ron Norton.
Susan?
Yes, yeah.
Got it. We got
Okay,
you now, Don.
well, thanks.
All right.
I've had a number of things. Unfortunately, I rarely find time to actually come to the meeting, but I really live off of the website and seeing the other items. So it's like I see you, but you never see me.
Right on.
I've got relatives in Kansas, and apparently they have problems getting insects in their drinks. So what I made was a cover.
Nice.
Okay, so and
Salted?
yeah, and I can't tell you what it is. This is the original wood, and all that is mineral oil.
Wow.
But it's a hedge, and so I just call it hedge wood. Another thing I've got is I made a colander. So if I can backlight this.
Lots of, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it had about 10 holes on the outside when I started it, and I'll say over 100 appeared.
Hmm.
And then y'all were talking about things flying off the lathe. About a year ago, I showed a piece of wood off that had an inclusion in it, and this is what it turned out to be. It's apple wood.
That's
And,
cool though.
And it actually, let's see if I can find, it essentially disassembled itself. So I've got a crack there. This whole piece just went away because it was on the last cut. But this was hollow wood, and I had this fear of doing it. But if I didn't say it was apple wood, it's got burl in it, and this is its mating piece.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
And talked about walking away from the lathe. 20 years ago, I had I still have a little pen lathe, and this was one of my first pieces I made.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh
yeah.
Ooh, cool.
But so essentially, I've got to learn all over again. But yeah, so like I said, I usually miss the meeting, but I see you guys after the fact in reruns.
Nice. Don,
Nice.
didn't we discuss a while ago? You had a troublesome piece, and we were talking about how to hold it. Was that the piece?
That was the piece.
Okay.
And essentially, when it went, I was taking off the tenon in the back.
Right.
After all of our discussion, and that's where I got the tenon off, and then suddenly it just broke free of the chuck, and the piece just broke right out, and it was a good third of the bowl, and it's like I walked away. I kept all the pieces, and then I decided, well, I'll put the puzzle together, and so it ended up being pretty nice.
Right.
Yes, it is. Beautiful.
You put it on the slacker stack, and then you took it off the slacker stack.
Yeah, I essentially I retired in as COVID started, and this is now my I go to the office every day and I play on the lathe.
Right on.
Good.
Cool. That's good. I'm glad that was the piece that was saved. Awesome.
And I was going to say it's all of it's Eddie's fault.
Hey, wait a minute. I know. Wait. To some degree, I can be innocent. To some degree.
But no. It's essentially I used to go and I see his videos. It's like, wow, I've got to do that. Gee, I hope I can do that. Maybe I'll one day be able to do that. So
right.
I'm not at Eddie's caliber yet, but I keep working at it.
It's all baby steps. Very good. Thanks for sharing,
Yeah.
Don.
Thank you, Don.
Oh, very welcome.
Well, we're going to go to our demo here, but while we got everybody on, let's get our safety Sue in and get our safety minute going on, and then from there we're going to go over to the UK and see what Paul Hannaby has got cracking for us later tonight here.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sue.
Well, last week I talked about going back to basics, and we discussed eye protection, face protection. So we're going to go on with other clothes and how we stand and what we stand on. Well, don't wear loose fitting clothes. You don't want to get caught up in the lathe. A lot of us, well, I wear a t-shirt because women have this thing about having sawdust go down their chest. So I make sure I have a tight thing going on. And some people wear chef smocks. Some people have trimmer smocks. Whatever you do, make sure that when you're getting close to the lathe that you don't have loose clothing. Now let's talk about gloves. I don't like gloves, but a lot of people wear gloves because sometimes that wood gets really hot when it's flying off the lathe. If you're going to wear gloves, cut off the fingers and make sure that glove is tight to your hand. But remember, that hand has to be behind your tool rack. So where are you standing? Well, I used to stand on a cement floor. In fact, I did for years at the post office. Now, with getting older, all that piled back on me. So I have a 1-inch. Now, a singular mat for me is a tripping hazard. So the whole area where I have my lathe shop is completely done in those 1-inch square puzzle type mats that you can buy at Harbor Freight. And that really helps a lot when you're standing for a long time at the lathe, or even if you're sharpening your tools. The shoes. See, we're going from the top of the head down to our shoes. Our shoes. Don't wear flip-flops. Don't wear sandals. Really don't wear sneakers. Or they call them running shoes now. Wear leather. And sometimes a composite toe is good to wear, or even a steel toe. Because if something falls down and it goes through your shoe, you're going to be a hurting puppy. So take care of yourself. Be cognizant of what you're wearing and how it affects your turning. Also be cognizant of how you stand. Make sure you're a good stance, that you're well balanced. Remember, you're going to turn by moving your hips, not by moving your arms. So folks, be safe this week. I was looking on Facebook. I love what Dane says to everybody. We want you to be healthier coming out of the shop than when you went into the shop. Thanks for that, Dane. I just enjoyed that. So
Right on, every day.
Every day, safety first, and I hope to see you next week. Take care.
Thank you, Sue.
Thanks, Sue. All right, well, without further ado, let's go over to the United Kingdom and let's go see what Paul's going to do for us tonight. Hey, Paul.
Hi, Dane. How you doing?
And then real quick, just a little housekeeping. Remember, folks, this is Paul's demonstration, and Paul is going to do his turning based on the way Paul is going to do his turning. If you have a comment or a gee, I would do it this way, save it till the end of the demonstration, and then we can talk about whether you would want to do it that way or not. You might actually learn something by paying attention to what Paul's doing. So without further ado, I am going to mute everybody, and then Paul is going to unmute himself.
I think I'm.
Paul, you're still
Yes.
muted if you didn't know.
Be muted again. How's that?
There we go. Gotcha.
Right. Yeah, I was just saying, I just put some new batteries in my microphone, so hopefully all will be good.
Yep, we got you.
Right. Good. So I thought I'd do something different tonight, or something different for me. It's not my usual demo territory, but I was thinking sort of over the last few days. I know you've seen quite a few of my demos, but I thought, what can I do that's just something a little bit different? So the different is candlesticks. So a couple of pieces for each one. If we get time, I might actually make two, but we'll go through the process anyway. Before we actually get to making a candlestick, before we get there, I had a gallery to show as well. We'll just do that quickly. This one, it's still in my workshop because it needs another coat of oil. This is going to be a sort of finished with a food safe finish, so it needs another coat. I've put a couple of 2 or 3 coats on already. I think I'll probably just put one more on that. Piece of ash, nice piece of wood, and simple sort of shape. And a little bit of figuring in there as well, just for good measure. So there's that one. And we were discussing the eccentric turning with Jim last week. I found this in my workshop. You probably recognise that.
Yeah.
It's you put a piece of wood in that hole there, clamp it here by doing up the screw on the side, and then undo that screw to adjust the offset. So you can turn the piece in the middle at various offsets for patterns, and also index it and rotate it. So a little bit cruder than the one Jim made, but same principles really. But yeah, I made that one about 10 years or so back. All right, let's go back onto the spotlight. Right, I'm just going to turn on record on my machine as well. I've just bought some new cameras, so hopefully by my next demo we'll have switched cameras. So I'll record this one so I can compare the two, see how it looks in terms of quality. So enough diversions. We'll go onwards with the demo. First thing, if I switch to my overhead view here, where do you decide what shape to make your candlestick? This book, if you haven't seen it before, is an excellent source for shapes. As the name implies, Shapes for Wood Turners by David Weldon. And in here, once you get through the preamble, you see things like that. Pages with shapes, as the name implies. There's all sorts of different shapes, bottles and decanters, lidded containers. If we start at the back, we've got teapots, salt and pepper, drinking vessels, pestles and mortars, miscellaneous, bud vases, vases, more vases, bowls and vases, more bowls and vases, more bowls and vases, and bowls. And where I put my little paper, bit of paper in there, is candlesticks. So if you're stuck for ideas for shapes, you can always use this. And I find these quite useful books as well. If somebody comes to me and wants me to make something for them, and they don't know what they want, I'll show them these books and I'll say, well, which bits of these do you like? I don't necessarily give them what's in the book, but it's a good way of at least getting that conversation started. And if you can narrow the field down a little by saying which style do you like, then you're halfway there. This is another good book. It's Classic Forms by Stuart E. Dias. And again, it's a whole collection of shapes. So if we flip through this one, you can see here, this time you've got no squares, but it's just lots of shapes. Table legs and balusters, all sorts of spindles, stair rails, spindles. And here we've got some candlesticks, which is obviously useful. So an assortment there. Yeah, there's lots of other shapes in there. And some pictures as well where some of these might have been taken from. So yeah, another good reference book. But yeah, I find it a useful source. As I say, I might not do exactly what's in there, but at least it gives me a start position, sort of, to go and sort of plan something out. And you can take different elements for different pieces and combine them if you want. So it's just giving you ideas of what you can combine and what might work, what might not. So, but I think I quite like this one in the middle of that page. So I'm going to do something similar to that. Might not be same in terms of proportion, but yeah, something along those lines. What I've got, I'm just going to move these books out of the way. I've got.
What was the title again there, Paul?
That one there was Classic Forms by Stuart E. Dias, D-Y-A-S.
After Paul's demo, I'll ask him to hold up the
I'll type them in the chat at the end. That's probably the easiest way, isn't it?
And then we can do a screen grab if you want, or he'll type it in for you.
Sure, that'll work. Right, so if I come back over here a minute, I've got these discs which I cut earlier today. I had a couple of rectangular pieces. This is about 1.5 inches thick and about a 5-inch round. So that's going to be my two bases. And I've marked them out and put a cross. Whenever I mark the circle, while the compasses set, I mark the center as well. So I've got a center mark there already. So that makes it easier for me. And then I've got 2 spindles, a bit rough and ready, but those are what I'm going to do the upright bit with. So first thing to do is figure out how I'm going to mount something on the lathe. So you go back over here. My camera stopped switching. What's going on? Oh, there it is. Right. So first thing I need to do is figure out how I'm going to mount these on the lathe. You can see on the spindle already, I've got a screw chuck. That's got a spacer on there to shorten the screw. Little piece like this, half the screw's plenty. If you look at that depth-wise, it'll take me not quite halfway, so that should be fine. I'm going to have to drill a hole in the top to join the upright. So if I make that the top side, then it's not wood I'm going to lose. It just means I've got a hole that I can enlarge. So from a drill. So this particular screw chuck works with an 8mm drill bit. I've got my little bit of tape there so I can drill it to the right depth. Saves time. Starting to come loose. I've reused that bit of tape several times because I keep moving it. But yeah, that should be right. Right, so I quite like the screw chuck with bowls with a lot of faceplate work. It's a convenient way of mounting a blank on. Put my piece of wood on there and screw it on, and hopefully I'll get that all the way up against the spacer at the back, which it has. And I want it against that spacer because when I'm taking cuts on this, I don't want all the pressure of that cut, all the force being taken on the screw. What should happen is the screw's transferring the weight into the lathe. I'll just move that just a little, then you can see the screw chuck slightly better. I want that back plate on the screw chuck to take all the force of the cut. So for that to happen, your blank needs to be screwed on fairly tightly. So that's where we are at the moment. Right, just moving my dust extraction hood out of the way, and then we can get on with this. So first thing I'm going to do is just set the lathe, set the tool rest across the blank and clamp that just below center. So when I'm actually turning on center, put the tool on the rest, I'm turning on center. So that's just a little bit of an adjustment there. So that's me about there. So I can take 1 of 2 cuts to flatten the bottom. I can do a push cut from the edge from here. So I'll point the gouge inwards, point the bevel straight across the piece and push that all the way to the middle. That's one way. The other way is to roll the gouge over the other way so the flute's pointing at about 10 o'clock, and I'll use the pull cut and draw that backwards and forwards across the surface of that piece of wood until it's flat. I'm going to put my visor on now so it might get a little bit boomy. I'll just adjust my microphone so it lets me close it. Okay, hope that sounds all right. So, lathes start off slow. Even with a small piece of wood like that, what I will do is stand out the way, start the lathe up, and then bring the speed up. A piece of wood that size, I can go easy 1,000, 1,200 RPM, something like that. So that's about 1,200 RPM, and it's stable, so I can stand in front of it. So now I can put the tool where I want and start to take the cut. Bit of a bounce on that outer surface because of the unevenness of the thickness. So I'm just trying to work that down so it's flat and I've got rid of the unevenness. And as I'm taking this cut, I'm looking at the edge across the face to see that I'm cutting it flat. So if it looks like I'm not, I can make adjustments as I go. And then once I've got there, I can pick up a ruler, put it on the rest, and just hold it against the wood, and I can see that's just touching on the edge. And also there's a little bit of a bounce there. So that's telling me I've not quite flattened this blank. Take a little bit more off. Try it again. The blank looks flatter, but there still seems to be a little bit of a bounce. I'm just going to stop and have a look at that, see what we've got. And yeah, there is an area there which is yet to be cut. Sort of 80% of the way round is done, but there's a little bit that isn't. So the ruler was telling the truth. There is more wood to come off before I get a flat surface. So that should be pretty much there now. So that's running without bouncing now. So that's telling me that I've got rid of all the unevenness. And I just want to flatten out the outer edge just a little more. Flatten the edge of that piece of wood. If I do that one, you should be able to see both views. So that's near enough to being flat. Now I've got to figure out how am I going to hold this the other way round. So obvious answer there is you put it in a chuck. So I've got, stop that a minute. I've got here, if I switch to the side camera now, I've got here a chuck with dovetail jaws, roughly 2 inches or just over 2 inches, comfortably fit in the center of this disc. So I can use those to hold the base of the candlesticks in the recess. And what I've done is I've opened those jaws to about 1/4 inch, 5 or 6 millimeters. And at that point, these jaws are basically describing a perfect circle. So at that point, if I make a recess or a spigot, it's going to give you maximum contact between the chuck and the piece of wood. So that's the size I'm going to aim for. So I set my dividers to that measurement there. Okay, so mark the measurement on the piece of wood. So, and to do that, left point on the rest, the right point just stays up in the air. I visually center that across the blank, touch it against the wood, and if I got it right, which I have this time, the other point should line up with the groove. So there's my mark for the recess. So now just to hollow that out. So I'm going to stick with my spindle gauge, do a couple of cuts into there. It doesn't need to be a terribly deep recess. 1/8 of an inch would do it. So that should be enough wood cut. And then to get that to the right side, flatness and also the dovetail, I've got this tool here. I made this years ago. It was a standard square scraper and I ground that at 70 degrees, which is the same angle as the dovetail on the set of jaws I just showed you. So I can put this tool on the rest, hold it horizontal, and cut my dovetail to the right angle on the edge and flatten it across the middle of the piece of wood. So that's the bottom part of this blank done. As long as that's, yeah, that's not too bad. I just want to round off the edge. So I'm just putting my tool rest across the edge and then I'm going to flatten the edge off. I'm going to switch to the other camera for this. And here I'm going to use the gouge low against the wood, so you can see the edge of the gouge here. And if that's the base, so I don't want to splinter that edge out. So I'm going to do my cuts from that edge to the top. So if I do splinter the edge, it's up here on the corner that I'm going to turn away. So use the bevel again. So I'm holding the handle down. I'm putting the flute at sort of about 10 o'clock again against the wood and cut across the surface of the wood. So you see that is making a fuzzy edge on the other side. If it really mattered, what I could do is cut 3/4 of the way like that and then come in from the other side, and that way I'll get rid of that fuzzy edge and keep both edges crisp. But it doesn't matter, that's not an edge I'm going to keep. Take a little bit more wood off. And just to get these two looking the same size, I set this set of calipers to the diameter I want this to be. And it isn't quite there yet, so I'm going to take a little bit more off. If I'm going to make a pair, then I'm going to try and make them the same size. So I'll just check that diameter. These are rounded on the tips, by the way. If you've got ones that aren't, don't put them against the wood when the lathe is on. But these are rounded, so they'll run against the wood without grabbing it. Or they should do. But even with that rounded tip, they're still being a little bit grabby. So I'll just be a bit more gentle with them. Right, so we're over it now. So that's down to the diameter. And I can take that other edge away. And it's not splintered, although it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really matter. Now, if I want to clean up this edge, if I stop the lathe there, all I've done is a fairly square-on sizing cut, so there's a little bit of tear there. If I want to improve that surface, what I can do is take a shearing cut. So instead of holding the gouge handle at this sort of angle, let me just switch to the side camera here. Instead of having the gouge against the wood like this, what I can do is drop the handle very low as this rest will allow me, and in order to get that position, I'm actually going to move the rest, because this is quite a wide rest here. So I want to be able to get the handle very low, like this. And I'm turning the bevel to the left because I'm going to cut to the left. So my edge against the wood is actually at a shearing angle. Switch back to this camera now. So I'm taking very much a shearing, slicing cut, and you can see I'm getting much finer shavings off by doing that. And that finer cut should be reflected in a better finish. And the more I drop the handle and the finer I make this cut, the finer the shavings become. So I'll just drop the handle even further and the shavings are yet finer still. So that's to clean up the surface. Let's have a look. So that's much better. I'm only worried about the bottom half. The top half I'm going to turn away, so I'm really just worrying about the bottom half of it. So that's okay. I'm going to shape a lot of that anyway, so I'll turn some of that away. But just in case, it's worth knowing how to be able to get that clean cut there. So I'm bringing my sanding hood in there and rearranging things slightly. I'm going to sand the bottom of this because that's the last time I'll have access to it on the lathe. So I can start off at 120, maybe 150 or 180. I've got Let's put that on. Right, just turning on my extractor. I've dropped the speed down as well. I've gone from about 1200 down to about 900. So I knock about a third-ish off. So 900 would be about right. And dropping the speed down is just to reduce heat. And I'm just going to sand the bottom face and also stand inside that recess. And what I always say to people is, whatever the first grit you pick up, what you're trying to do with that is to get rid of all the tool marks, bumps and ridges, torn grain, any other flaws or features that you're trying to remove. So there's still a little bit there that shouldn't be. So I'm just going to sand that a little bit more. And if you can't get out the marks that you're trying to lose with the first grit, there's absolutely no point at all going finer. You want to go the other way. So if I'm at 120 grit here and I can't get the results I want, then my answer will be going to find some 80 grit. See if I can do it with that. But I think I'm okay with this one. So I've gone down to 180 grit now. Yeah, I've got sanding discs all the way down to 16 grit. So nothing's going to get past those. Might not be much wood left at the end of it, but yeah, I bought them with the intention of using them for carving and shaping wood rather than finishing it. Because if you put a 16 grit sanding disc on, and it does take quite a bit of wood off. I bought them for my 4.5 inch angle grinder, so they're sort of 4.5 inch diameter discs. So yeah, great if you're doing some shaping and carving. So I'm going down through the grits. I've done 180, 240. I'm on to 320 now. And lastly 400. So that's it sanded. So I'm just going to brush any dust out from in that recess. Make sure the bottom of that's clear. And I can turn my extractor off now as well. So when I've sanded that, I'm going to slow it down even more, and I'm going to use some aerosol sanding sealer. This is cellulose, oh, it would be, yeah, there it is, it goes. Cellulose sanding sealer, put a couple of coats of that on, give that a minute to dry, and then I can cut that back. This is quite an open pored wood. It's Robinia or pseudo-acacia, or you might call it black locust, but it's all of those three. It's the same thing. That bottom's dry now, so I've got some nylon abrasive pads. The red is about 400 grit equivalent, 400 to 600, and then the white is 800 to 1000 roughly. So just for cutting back the sanding sealer, and then I can put a bit of wax on there. And then I can buff that to a finish.
Oh, look at that thing pop.
Yeah, it's always a way. You put the sealer and the wax on there, and it starts to bring out the colour in the wood.
Beautiful.
It's got some unique properties as well, the Robinia. I don't know if any of you've come across this, but what's this? This is a little UV pen. Look what happens when I put UV light on it. It fluoresces yellow.
Nice.
So you can have fluorescent candlesticks. But yeah, it's a natural feature of the wood. It's one of the ways you can identify it.
What kind of wood you say that is?
It's Robinia, also known as Forsythia, also known as black locust.
Okay.
Right, I'm going to put the other one on and get the other one to the same stage. Yeah, someone gave me a tree 3 years ago now, I think it was. I'm just going to put the spindle lock on there so I can actually get both hands on the piece of wood. Right, that's good and tight.
Piece I'm working on right now is honey locust. It's the same kind of wood.
Yeah.
And black locust and honey locust are surprisingly different.
Yeah, I don't think either are native to the UK, but yeah, it's grown as an ornamental tree, really. This came out of somebody's garden. So 1200 RPM again, flatten off the bottom of this one. Same way I did the last one. Yeah, the other cut, as I was saying earlier, you can turn the flute inwards, point the bevel straight across the bottom, come in and take a small cut from the edge, and then you get the bevel put in the right place. You can run that cut all the way to the middle. So either cuts work. It's up to you really which you prefer. So the advantage I think of the pull cut is you're doing the cuts into side grain, whereas that push cut you're actually running into end grain twice every revolution, aren't you? So slightly harder cut on the tool. There's still the odd little bit saw marks on the edge. So I just need to take another couple of passes off that. That's better. What divided them, so there we are. So I can measure that recess again. Didn't get it right the first time, so I moved the divider and got it on the second attempt. Again, take a bit of wood out. A few shallow cuts with spindle gauge. And then use this to cut the centre. And all the way out to where the dovetail is. Just going to raise that rest slightly. That's just about right. It's just starting to lose its edge. So what I'm going to do is just use a flat hone here, and you can just run that across the top to take off what was left of the previous bevel, and then just hold that on the bevel and put a fresh one on it. And I can feel that fresh bevel on the edge now. So just that quick touch up just to make sure I leave the bottom as flat as I can. There's a little fuzzy bit of shaving there, so I'm just going to touch the corner of the dovetail just to make sure there's not a fuzzy edge there. So that's all that was for. And then same on the edge to edge, put the rest across and do my cuts from the right to left. Switch cameras. I've tried to position the overhead camera as far as possible so you can see what I see. So not too bad on something like this, but sometimes you're actually sort of working around where the camera is because it gets in the way, but shouldn't be too much of a problem on this one. I think I've got a bit more to go yet. That gauge is just starting to lose its edge, so I'm going to just switch to another one, save time. There we go now. Another couple tape. Remember when you're sizing things, whatever you're taking off this side, you're taking the same amount off that side, so it's double that amount you're taking off. So if you only want to take a 16th off, your cut's got to be a 32nd. You see what I mean? Right, that's just gone past. And again, if I just bring my, I'll get rid of that bit first. Bring the rest in and up to the end. And I can drop the handle. Do that shearing cut again on the edge. Just cleaning up the bottom half of it, because the top half I'll pretty much turn away. And then that's good for sanding. So get the rest out of the way, just hood back in. Slow the load down a bit again. So I'm down to about 800, 850 most of this time. Speeds are always a bit of guesswork on a one-way. It's just got a dial with numbers on it, so it depends on where the knob is to get on the actual shaft of the potentiometer as to whether that dial is in the right place or not. So and mine tends to move. If you push it all the way against the stop at one end, it sort of slips on the shaft slightly. So to be aware that sometimes it might not be quite as accurate as it should be. Switch back to the side view, probably see more this time. That was 180, and do 240. $320. And 400. Get rid of the dust. Throw the lay down even more. I'm turning the extractor off. little bit of seal on that. This one's just about empty. Should have another one somewhere. Right, maybe not.
What is it you're spraying on there?
That was cellulose sanding sealer.
Okay.
Just checking to see if that's not no longer tacky, and I think we're just about there. I use steel wool on quite a few of the woods, but I avoid using them on any of the open poured woods because it's liable to get caught in the pores in the wood as it breaks up. Probably wouldn't matter too much on this, but some of the woods like oak and elm and chestnut and things like that, the tannic acid in the sap in the wood will react with the steel that it leaves behind from steel wool. So they get little black flecks appearing in the surface sometime after you've made it. So with woods like that, it's best avoided. Right, so that's that one done. Knock that spindle so I can unscrew it. So that's both of them done on the screw chuck. So I can get rid of the screw chuck now. Now, referring back to that drawing, the base, it's sort of half a bead on the edge, then a little square section, and then sort of an OG towards the centre. Now, in the centre of these, I need to drill a hole to attach this to the spindle. So it's probably a good idea to do that first. After squaring this off, that is. So I'm just measuring the thickness of this, just want to see how they compare between the two. That's 59 millimeters. And that one is 38. So they're pretty close, millimeter difference. So I just want to flatten off this top surface. Doesn't actually matter about flattening the whole of the top surface, but I certainly want the centre 2/3 of it, because that's the bit I'm going to keep. You can see there it's just uneven, but I'm pretty much flat on the rest of it, so I think that's close enough. That'll do for the moment. So we can move that out of the way. And then to drill these, I've got a 1-inch Forstner bit. So that's how I'm going to drill my hole for the spigot for the top half to attach. And how I arrived at 1 inch, I looked at my spindles, which I think are about 2-inch diameter. And I thought, well, I'm going to shape it a bit, put a bead at the bottom, so I want to allow room for all of those things to happen. And really on a, well, let's say a less than a 12-inch high candlestick, I'm sure a 1-inch spigot is strong enough. Now then, depth-wise, I know I've got, well, literally 1/8, maybe just over, recess in the bottom, and drop the speed down there a bit as well. So I've got at least 2/3 of this I can use. So I'll go beyond the depth of the actual edge, a little bit more. So we'll go with that. Now the quick way of checking is one of these, depth gauge. It's fairly cheap to buy, and you can adjust the center section to where you want, so I can push that in the hole. That's the depth I've drilled. I can put this up against the edge. Put it over this side and you might see it. So you can see there I've gone literally halfway. That's like 7/8 of an inch roughly. I can actually go a little bit deeper, there's plenty of wood there. Right, that'll do. So I'm going to make my spigot probably 3/4 of an inch long. So I made my hole deeper than I needed to. It's just over an inch now, so I could actually make it an inch deep and still have a 1/16 at the bottom for the glue. So that's fine. We'll go with that. We'll make it an inch. Right, so that's the hole at the bottom. Now I want to shape the outside of this. Now I'm working with side grain, so I'm effectively supposed to be turning this like a bowl, which means on the side I'm on now, turning from the center out rather than the other way around. Remember I said in the middle I want to leave space for this other piece of wood to attach. So let's say at the bottom of my spindle I want at least that much, maybe a little bit more. Let's have a little bit more, maybe that. So I'm just holding my spindle up and thinking how much of this can I get away with. So that's about it. So what was that in actual measurement? So I've got an inch hole, and I've got 45, that's an 1 3/4, isn't it, roughly? That's my 2 inches, so yeah. I might stick with the inner one, that's an 1.5 inches. Yeah, we'll go with an 1.5 inches, that's fine. Right, so shaping that one, cutting from the bottom, or from the tailstock end back. So the top half of this, referring to my drawing, you've got a bit of a flat and then it comes out into an ogee. So I can start forming my ogee. Initially I'm just doing the concave part of the curve. And then once I've got more to work with, I'll start going the other way. So I'm just coming out to my line here. And now forming the whole curve. So I'm leaving that flat in the middle, and I'm leaving a little bit of a square section at the base of this ogee. But I'll cut the ogee first. So I'll get rid of more wood on the inside of it. That'll do. And then I can just cut straight in here. There's where my square section is going to sit. And then once I've defined it, I can just trim the curve down a little, move the rest over this way, and cut the half the bead on this outer section. Now really I want probably more depth at the top to get that bead more even. So let's do that. Cut a little bit more down there, and then I can sort of use the wing of the tool a bit like a shear cut there, so I can get the corner all the way in, and then as I bring the tool out, I'm just rotating it to rotate the flute like that. Let me do that from an overhead shot as well. So I go in on that corner, and then the left wing starts to cut, and as it does, I'll pull it back and just rotate the flute. So I bring the wing around the curve. It's just because I can't get all the way in where I want to take that cut in the right direction. So I could cut it backwards, I could cut against the grain, but I don't want to do that. I think by cutting it the way I did, hopefully I've got a more consistent cut. So I'm just going to deepen that curve more at the top. Get rid of a little bit of that square section. I don't want it quite as big as that. So that's just about it on the outside. I've got the flat where I want it at the bottom of the candlestick, so that's going to mate with the base of the candlestick. I've got my OG, got my square, and I've got my half a bead there. So again, sand and finish. I think I've got a better cut on this than I did on the bottom actually, so I can probably go straight to 180 on this. So on that flat section and try and keep it properly flat. Work my way around. So where I've got that internal curve, is an easy way to follow that is put your thumb behind the paper like that and just bend it over your thumb to get a tight curve. That works pretty well. Lighting on that corner. So I'll work on just one of these rather than trying to do both, because I think time's going to be against me to try and finish both of them. So I'll just do the one from here. So I'll blow the dust off that. I always use a brush to get the dust off rather than trying to blow it. I'm wearing a full face visor here, so if I try and blow it, all I'm going to do is fog my visor up. It doesn't work. Right, if you excuse me for 30 seconds. I just need to go and grab another can of that sanding sealer. Right. So, just slow the lathe down. 2 or 3 coats of this. It's always better to put 2 or 3 light coats on rather than one thick one. So that's exactly what I just tried to do. And I'll give that a minute to dry, speed the lathe up again.
Look at the shine on that thing now.
Yeah, it soon makes a difference, doesn't it? Yeah.
Goodness.
Well, I'm taking off some of the sanding sealer, really just to make sure it's smooth. Because you put the sanding sealer on many woods and it soaks into the wood and air bubbles come out and they set into the surface, so it feels slightly rough to the touch. You can't see the air bubbles, they're too small, but I think that's why you get that slight roughness. So just sanding that back or cutting it back is definitely worth doing. A bit of wax on that. I can go up to the edge of the hole, but I certainly don't want wax inside the hole. So that's good as that one done. And buff that. Get right into that corner again. Right, so that's my bottom piece done.
Paul, what kind of wax was that you're using?
I'm using Renaissance wax. It's one of the microcrystalline waxes. It's a synthetic wax. I started using it many years ago. I found that when I started doing bigger exhibitions, at the end of the day, any of the pieces I hadn't sold all ended up pretty dull and flat. So the reason that happens is most of the beeswax finishes, the beeswax that's in them, it's got a lower melting point than the Renaissance wax and the microcrystalline. So it's that the heat from your hand melts the wax, and that it makes it either soak into the wood or it comes off on your hand. So you're losing the finish. And if a lot of people are handling it during the course of a day, which is exactly what happens at a big exhibition, then you're in trouble. All your finishes are going to look dull by the end of the day. So that's what I was finding. So I switched to Renaissance wax for that reason. And I've used it ever since. And it keeps it shine. You can handle it all day and it'll keep it shine. And really, I think the reason for that is because it's got a higher melting point. So the heat from your hand isn't enough to melt it. Right, so I'm going to mount this piece between centres. And I've got here 2 ring centres, a matched pair actually. If I bring them here, you can see them on the camera there. So I'm putting just a solid drive in the headstock and one with bearings in the tailstock. And this piece of wood I prepared earlier, I drew a square on the end, through on 4 sides, which makes a little box, and I'll just little indentation on each end with an automatic center punch, just to locate it on the lathe, so I can locate that against the center relatively easily. And then that's on the centers. So just apply a bit of pressure. The main reason I'm using the ring centers here is I might well want to take this off to check the fit of the ferrule that's of the spigot. So it makes sense to mount it in a way that I can remount it pretty accurately. And these ring centers make that ring depression in the end. So that should help me to relocate it should I need to. So just for this bit, I'll switch to the longer rest. Again, it's speed. So put the longer rest on there. Give it a spin just to make sure. And this time I'm going to go maximum speed on this range, which is about 1800 RPM. So start the cut at one end, cut towards the end so you don't chip the end off. I'm just going to a little bit more pressure on there. I'm only driving this by friction from that ring centre, so if I put too big a cut on it with the spindle roughing gauge, it's going to stop. The ring centre will spin. It makes it a very useful tool if you're trying to learn how to use any particular tool and you're getting catches with it. Put it between centres with some of these ring centres and just don't put too much pressure on it. And then you'll find that when your tool catches, the wood just stops. So very useful for things like that. So that's taking it down to a cylinder, apart from a little flat up here, I think, yeah it is. But the rest of it's good down this end. So I think at that point I can switch back to my shorter rest. Now my spigot at the bottom is the first thing I want to actually turn. So I need a parting tool and I need to measure the size of my drill that I just used, wherever I put it. There it is. So I've got myself a set of calipers. There's my drill. And I'm just going to wind these in. Let's do it on the overhead camera there. So I'm winding my calipers in and measuring them against the drill. That's slightly tight, so slacken that. I want it to just feel resistance when I'm going over it, but very slight. That's it. So I'll square up this bottom and then start to take my first cut.
Oh, can you change cameras?
Just let me raise this camera up a little. That's better. So I'm going on the end with the parting tool and then I'll put the calipers over it. So that's just down to the right diameter. I said earlier, I'm going to make my spigot an inch long. So let's do a few cuts. That was an inch and a bit, so I've got my inch there. Probably another 2 cuts. Yeah, one more. So I can measure at that end as well. So I'm just trying to feel for the same amount of friction. That's about it. And this bit at the bottom end. Just check it again on here. Right, I'll put a little bevel on the end to make it go in the hole easier. And then at that point, I'll check, we'll measure it. We'll put it up against the base. So I can slacken that off, take my piece of wood out and check the fit into there. Now that's perhaps just a little bit tight at the top end, but it's just about gone all the way in. So now I put it in once, I've compressed the fibres on that spigot. So next time it might just go in slightly easier, but I think I'll just ease that just a little. And also that gives me a good measure for setting the base of this up, where I want the little details to be and the decoration to be. All right, so put that between the centres again, and then that was just a little bit too tight. For doing cuts like this, you want your parting tool to be properly sharp. Because if you want to just take a whisker off, you want to take just what you want with very light pressure, because if your tool's not sharp, you end up pushing it a lot harder than you really needed to, and then you take off more than you wanted to. So I think that's probably it. That's just taking a whisker off it. So at the bottom of my candlestick there was a square fillet with a cove. So we can, now we've rounded this down, we can actually mark out our details. I'll just turn the lathe down to slow, move some of these measuring implements out the way, and go back to my drawing. So here's the drawing. And what I'm going to do is put the drawing down here. Hopefully you can see that. Just trying to get this book to see where it is. There it is. That'll probably do it. I'll wedge it against the dust extraction hood. It's not quite in focus, but you get the idea. So what I've done is the base. So this bottom bit here is done. So I want to make the rest of that now. So I've got my little fillet at the bottom. So that's probably that wide. Then I've got a cove, probably about that much, then another little fillet there. And then I've got that long sweeping curve, probably up to there, maybe more. I'm going to start at the bottom, top and work down now. If we say the top's there, that widest part becomes about there. Then it tapers into that point there, and then we've got that, what to call it, a sort of a lopsided bead, for want of a better phrase. And then that's where my cove is. So that sort of transposing that onto here, just doing it by eye. Yeah, that top bit may be bigger than I want it, but yeah, we'll go with that. We'll see how we get on. So now, I suppose the next question is, what size are all these things going to be? So that the next thing to do is to size each of these pieces. So this bottom bit, it needs to be about, I said 1.5 inches, didn't I? let me find my base. So using the base as the measure, it wants to be flat out to that sort of diameter. So that's certainly the widest it needs to be at that point. So I put my dividers on there. That's the bottom bit then. And then the other end of it is considerably smaller. So go into about there. And then the next feature will take us to about here. And at this point, that measurement there is very similar to that one there. Let's just try it with our dividers, the calipers here. See that measurement there and that one there. It's a little bit bigger. So if I just gauge it off this one, let's do it that size. So if you're making multiple spindles, this is the easiest way to do it. You mark out all the features. This one, again, is smaller. Into that. And then we've got those two features. So this one here is about the same size as that. So if I get my measurement on that, this time I'm going to use a narrow parting tool to define that edge. Now I can't actually get my dividers in there, my calipers in there. It's too narrow a gap, so I'm just viewing the two side by side to see if I can get them about the same. So that's as much as I need to do with measurements. All the rest you do it by eye, fill it in by eye. So this bottom piece, it's one big bead. I'll try and leave the book there, just going to move this rest a little. So all of this wood is surplus to requirement, so let's get rid of that. And then this is the bottom of my curve, so I'm just going to get rid of that corner. Get that out of my way, basically, so I can just clean up that bottom piece there with a passing cut with the gouge, and then I can cut my cove into here. Oop. Bit of a sideways kick there, but we can fix that. So that bit where I got the kick, just narrow it down just a tad. Now what I've got to do is make sure I get it right on the second one. So if I can mess it up on this one, but can't do that on the second one. Right there. Take that middle section in just a little bit more. This isn't a wood I turn very often, I don't usually come across it, to be honest, but it is turning very nicely. So I need another feature there. I sort of didn't mark out that widest point there. Oop. So I can start. Running a bit slow there, let's turn that speed up. Okay, that's the bottom part. This middle bit, that's waste wood there. That's going to be our little cove, and then this is going to be a half a bead at the top of that section there. Now this this cove I've got to do here is a little bit smaller, so it's a bit too small for my 1/2 inch gauge, so I'm going to switch to my 3/8 gauge now. And even that's probably just about doable. That's that one, and then this is our rounded over detail. That needs to be narrowed down a little first. It's smaller than this piece, so I've shaved it down a little bit. And then we've used the bottom 2/3 for the right hand curve, and the other third will go the other way. But what I'm also going to do is just get rid of some of this. Give myself a bit of space. And then at the top here, the corner is roughly there where that pencil line is. Take that all the way down to the shoulder. So I'm just trying to cut in on the shoulder to get that square and sharp at that edge. And then roll this corner over as the other half of that shape. And then I've just got the top bit to do. Now the bit right at the top is waste wood. Just to make sure I end up with 2 spindles the same length, I'm cutting a bit off. That'll do. And then I can use my gauge to round over that top part of the curve. So that's more or less it, bar the sanding. So we'll take the rest out of the way and get rid of the book now. I think we've covered that.
Shine on that thing, it don't look like it needs sanded. Thing is beautiful.
So let's get the dust hood back. Top the speed down a little. And I'm sanding this at 180 grit to start with. If you leave the odd little flat, I wouldn't worry about it too much because they're very easy to sand out. You can see there on that curve, there's a couple of flats on it, but just one pass with 180 grit and they're all gone. So rather than persevere getting that perfect curve, as long as you've got it close enough, then it doesn't take much to get rid of it. So sand the cove out there. Do that little section there and there. Sand around the curve here. I just want to take that curve farther in, that bottom edge. Didn't like the step that was there, and likewise with this side. It's only a small change, but just wasn't quite happy with that. But anyway, here I am now. Now the bit at the top, I need to drill a hole in and put in the candle cup. I've got some metal cups. So I need to hold the spindle in a chuck and just do that top part. Let's finish the sanding first. So I'm on 320 grit now, just got one more to go. So brush the dust off. Slow the lathe down. And I'll put some sanded sealing on that. Wait for some wax.
Yes, it is, Jim. Wow, wax really makes it pop, folks.
Sort of.
Don't it though? Look at the shine.
Yep. So all that's left to do there is the top.
Gorgeous.
Are we okay for a few minutes to do that?
Absolutely. Take it home, Paul. Take it home.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is put my spindle in a chuck now. Where's the smallest set? That's the one. So I've got a small set of the O'Donnell jaws here, and that centre should hold a 25mm spindle quite nicely, or an inch spindle. If it does a little bit of damage to it, it's not the end of the world, because that's going to disappear inside the hole, isn't it? So that's not the end of the world. I need to hold that relatively firmly. Right, so I need to turn away as much as I can there, and then drill my candle cup in. So I'm just going to use a conventional cone center here, so I can support the end without restricting access too much. As I turn these bits away, I'm just going to turn my rest around this way. So I'll go into there, my 3/8 spindle gauge.
Paul, can you change the camera?
Right. Let me just try and bring that one down. How's that?
That looks good.
That way. So this end was just as parted off. So I'm just going to do a couple of cuts across that, just to clean up that end grain. And then turn as much of this away as I can before finally cutting it through. So that's the end bit gone. So my candle cups, I measured them earlier, and they are about 15/16. My nearest forcing a bit is 7/8, so I'm a 16th out here, but that's as close as I can get. Where on my shot? There it is. Now my other problem here is I'm on a short bed lathe. This is a 24/16, not a 24/36. Have I got enough length of the bed? It's going to be touch and go, but I think I'll just about get away with it. Right. I'm going to have to hang the tailstock off the back to get that in to start with. There you go. Yep. Only just. That's literally, my tailstock is half off the end of the bed there. Oops, stop that a minute. So that's not quite in the middle. So you see that slight deflection there. So I'm just going to try and adjust that. That's better.
Oh, much better.
That was fortunate. Sometimes it takes a bit of a fiddling around, but that was pretty close first time. So I dropped the speed of the lathe down on sort of about 700-800 with this. I don't want to go too fast with the forcing the bits, because you'll burn the wood. So I'll go into the depth of the cut, the saw itself, and then a little bit more. Now the cups I've got, they flare out at the end, and I want that flare out to be actually above the surface. So let me just go to, dropped it on the floor, mate. Good job the shaving's up.
Padding on the floor.
Yeah. So that's the depth I want to go to, just at the bottom of that flare, and I'll leave that sticking up above the top. So that's about 3/4 of an inch at that point. So if I just bring my tailstock out of the way, yeah, I've got a little bit farther to go yet. Try that. Another turn on the handle, I think.
Oh, can you switch the cameras back?
We're there. So let's get the drill out of the way. So as I said, that hole is slightly undersized for this cup. So I've just got to open that up a bit. So just taking the tailstock off. So I'll put the rest across the end here. And what I'm going to use to do this is one of my box hollowing tools. This one here. It's a square-ended scraper basically, but it's not only ground on the end, it's ground on the edge. So I can actually cut sideways with this as well as forwards. So with one or other of those cuts, I should be able to get in and just reduce it. I'm just rearranging the camera at this end so you can see it better on this one. Up a little bit, there we are. That's just slightly high. Just tie the cup in there. Nearly, just a little bit tight. That's better. So that's gone in as far as I want it to, and the flared bit is sticking out of the top. So I've just got to sand this end bit and finish that, and then we're done. Or at least we're done on number one, but I'll do the other one tomorrow, I think. Now the metal cup has got they come with screws, so you can screw them in, or if you want, you can glue them in, I suppose. Either would work. I'm just going to stop and have a look at that on the end grain here. That's pretty clean. Yeah, the rest of the tree, some of it I cut into blanks and pieces that I've dried. Some I've actually rough turned bowls. So I've got a stack of rough turned bowls from this tree that I've yet to finish and turn. So now this one, because I've already sprayed the rest of it, I won't spray that end bit, but I will coat it in cellulose sand and sealer. But I've got this one, the same thing in liquid form in a bottle, in a jar. So, and I'll keep the brush in the jar as well, because it dries really quick. So your brush is going to go hard if you let it dry out. So best thing to do is put a cork in the top of the jar, and then you can just leave it like that. Wine cork, drill a hole in it, stick your brush through it.
Good tip.
Yep. Good excuse for
Flip that one out, Dave.
Absolutely.
So you can go and tell your partners that you need to go and get a bottle of wine and drink it all. You can share it if you want. A little bit of wax on that. Spotted a blob of sanding sealer on my lathe, so I'll just clean that off. All right, so that's the cup in the top. That's how that goes. It is just about tight enough to stay there on its own, but I will put a screw in that to make sure it doesn't come out. And that is bottoming out at the bottom of the hole, so that's exactly where I wanted it. And then here's the base. So wow. You can put that on the spindle, just tighten that up. When you're putting the two parts together, think about grain alignment. I've just thrown that in without thinking. And the grain alignment on the spindle is there. The grain alignment on the foot is over here.
Yeah.
So what I want to do probably is just actually it wasn't as far as I thought, but so you can see there we're getting the grain pattern there and the grain pattern in the foot the same way, and likewise the other side. So but you might need to adjust it slightly to see where you get best fit, and I'll just give it 180-degree turn, see if it's better the other way around. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's worse. I think that's actually worse. So we'll go back to where I was back there. So that's grain alignment. I'm just going to switch over here Right. Can you see that?
Yes.
It says
Yes.
my bandwidth's low. Why is
Beautiful.
that?
Absolutely
So-
gorgeous.
So that's it. And yeah, that needs gluing in, obviously. I'm not going to leave it like that. I'll glue that together, but I'll probably put tight bond on that. And that'll be
Love
it,
it.
stuck together. And
It's a damn nice demo, Paul.
Very
Well,
good
that's-
demo.
Good demo.
I've got to do is make the other one match the pair, haven't I? So hopefully by the next meeting, I will have finished the other one and I'll show you the pair.
Well, don't sit down,
Absolutely.
because here it is. The standing ovation is right now. Don't sit down.
Yes.
That's beautiful, Paul.
Absolutely
Okay.
right. Absolutely.
Fantastic, Paul.
Oh, excellent as always. You know, as Paul's doing this demo, it brought me back to the first demo that he did for us almost 4 years ago. He did a goblet with a braid twist stem. And the following day, I promptly went out and made my first goblet with a braid twist stem because of Paul.
Yeah.
Truly
Cool.
inspirational Turner here, folks.
Yes, I agree. Very nice.
Absolutely.
I'm just writing the names of these two books in the chat.
Okay,
Thank you.
Can you also tell us where you got the brass insert there?
I was actually given them, but they sell them in the UK. I think Axminster sell them, Turner's Retreat sell them. And Yandle's another shop in the UK. So there are 2 or 3 shops in the UK that sell them. I think it's probably highly unlikely that they're made in the UK. They're probably of Chinese origin. But it's got a part number on here for these things, and it's just pretty obscure. It doesn't actually tell me where they're made. But yeah, that's where they come from in the UK. But if you tried Penn State or somewhere like that in the US, you might find that they've got them.
Yeah.
If you can't get them, let me know. Then I can send you some over.
Bob Grinstead put a point in the chat as to where you can see about getting some of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
they're
good.
just different.
Yeah. I got another
Much
question
different.
too. While you were turning, I noticed your sandpaper holder thing. Can
Oh
you
yeah.
show us that? One of my biggest problems is dealing with sandpaper, how to store it and where to put it, you know?
I'll just hold it up. My camera switched because I was typing. So that's it.
Okay.
So all that was is actually a leftover piece of windowsill. So that's just a piece of MDF, and all I've done is run that down on the bandsaw and widen the slot slightly and put in, I don't know, 7 or 8 slots. And that's all the grits from 80 to 600 if I fill all of them up.
Okay.
So I've got 80, 120, 150, 180, 240, 320, 400, 600. So it's just the right number of slots. But
And
yeah, I mean, just any old bit of inch board would do it. And you only need probably a 6 inch length or less. That's about a 5x2, roughly. But yeah, if you want them a little bit farther apart, then yeah, 6 inches or so. But yeah, that was just an offcut, and I thought, oh, I know what I can do with that. But all I've done is a double cut to widen the cut slightly, and then I've used the saw just to round the corners over slightly so the abrasive drops in easier. So I mean, you could have done that with a bit of abrasive or even a file, but I was on the bandsaw doing this anyway, so I did the whole thing on the bandsaw.
And the sandpaper you're using there looks like belt sandpaper?
It's well, I buy it on a roll. It's a 2-inch wide cloth backed abrasive. This is Klingspor is the brand, but I buy it as it is on a 2-inch roll. I buy it 50 meters at a time, rather than just buying a couple of meters, because I get through quite a bit of this stuff. So it was worth my while just buying a whole roll. They do 25 meter rolls and they do 50 meter rolls, but yeah, I've been using this for quite a few years now.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, it's good abrasive actually. I find it quite effective, but it's just what they call J flex. The J is the cloth weight, And it's the one that I think most turners go for a J weighted cloth, no matter which brand they use. There's a few different brands out there, aren't there? But yeah, this stuff works pretty good.
Okay. I go through a lot of sandpaper.
Yeah,
No
don't we all? I tried to tell people I don't do any sanding, but no one believes me.
Well, the way those pieces turned, it didn't look to me like you needed to sand them.
I mean, you do. I mean, as I said, if you get that curve to the point where you've got pretty much the shape you want, but with the odd little corner, the odd little flat, and 20 seconds with 180 grit, and it's a smooth curve. That's the level I try and turn to, rather than aiming for absolute perfection, because it just takes longer. So although yes, I could persevere and get probably a better curve than I do, if I think I can sand that away in 20 seconds and it's going to take me 5 minutes to get a perfect curve, which one are you going to choose?
Right.
So it's sort of tempering it with realism, I think is what I sort of describe it as. So yes, I could get an almost perfect curve, and probably one that was in very little need of sanding, but in reality it will take me longer. So
and you also take the chance of getting a catch and running the whole thing, right?
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that too. Yeah. I mean, I remember some time ago a professional turner said to me, he said, "Don't tell anybody I told you this," but he said, if you want to do a little bead, let's say less than a quarter of an inch, or that sort of size, we're talking maybe an eighth of an inch, or sort of 3/16 or so, that sort of size. He said, just cut it each side, so you're creating a square, and then wipe that over with 180 grit, and all of a sudden you've got a bead. So you don't even turn the bead, you just turn a square and you sand the corners off. And I was told that by a sort of a long-standing professional turner. I thought, yeah, that actually makes sense. So there are corners to be sort of cut occasionally. Yeah, on a bigger bead, yeah, you've got to shape it first and then work on sanding it. But occasionally, yeah, if you're working on that level of sort of detail, I mean, as it happens, I've actually got a beading tool that's a 1/8 beading tool. So if I ever want a 1/8 bead, I use that rather than trying to do them by hand, because they're that fiddly when you get to that size. Yeah, I probably could do it, but why put myself through it, you know?
Right.
I can get the tool and just press it in gently, and hey presto, there's a bead. So I'm all for making myself sort of life easier, a little bit easier.
Yeah. You did a very nice demo tonight, Paul. Thank you.
Okay.
Once again,
Considering the time you're at.
always appreciate it when you come through for a demo for me. And I know the rest of the group appreciates it as well.
Definitely.
But I definitely appreciate it. So thank you very much, Paul.
Yeah, my big problem with doing the sort of the last few months, if you like, is my work hours. But I've recently changed my work hours, so I'm actually working Monday to Wednesday, so I don't have to go to work tomorrow, or not to the day job anyway. So I don't need to get up quite so early. So I don't mind doing the late Wednesday nights now, or early Thursday mornings.
I fully understand. I understand the time end of it. Yeah.
But yeah, I told my boss a little while ago. I said, by the way, I'm switching to a 3-day week, and he said, oh, okay. And then the next sentence was, and when I've done that, I'm quitting at the end of September. So from September September onwards, it's full-time wood turning. That's my plan.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
So I may be happy but poor.
Yeah, you'll definitely be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's
you'll be able to. Then you'll be able to funnel more projects to your wife to do her stuff too.
Yeah, yeah. And we've for years we've always talked about doing some sort of collaboration piece, but never done it. But I think it's time we actually did that. It'll be interesting to see what we can come up with.
Absolutely. All right, buddy. I know it's late there. I'll get you off the spotlight. And once
Thanks.
again, everybody is giving you a standing ovation.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
So if anyone's got any questions after you think of them tomorrow, just drop me a line. I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. Will do. All right, let's go back to Captain Eddie for some quick announcements. And then after Captain Eddie, then we'll go back to doing some, we'll do some gallery. How about that, folks?
Works for me. They don't wake him up. He gets grumpy. Man.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
We're going to go back to him. We're going to go back to, see, that was Paul, right? I mean, we're going to go see him in a few minutes. But if you have something to show on gallery, get in a queue right now. Put it in the chat. Say, I have something to show. And when Dane introduces you, pow, let's go. Let's rock it right through them. A couple of brief things. Club's still got tons of stickers for sale. And we give you 10 stickers for $5. You can pay for that on our website, through our website, got all the details. I'm looking for 20, get this, 20 members to represent our organization at SPOT coming up in a little bit less than, just about 2 months. We're going to be in Waco, Texas, and I want members that will spread the word about Worldwide Woodturners and give them away a sticker and get those stickers out on lathes and stuff. I can tell you one thing straight up. This is no ham. If you have a Worldwide Woodturner sticker on the side of your lathe, right there on the side of your lathe, you will reduce your catches by 74.6%. 74.6.
That it?
I put 2 of them on mine then.
Yeah, you say, oh, double it. Hey, went to school.
All
All right. But we have that, and we have a lot of other things. I've been in the chat tonight seeing that this is the only place I go for demonstrations and club meetings where I see 50, 60 members jump on board and enter information about where to buy this, where to book is that, how to get this finished, where do they get those cups, how do you, and all this information is in chat. And Donald in Australia tells us every single week, save the chat. It goes on our website also. If you have something to share with us, you can go there and share with us. Right now, let's get gallery. Come on, folks. You got something? Get in a queue. Dane's going to introduce you, and let's rock and roll through them. Come on.
That's right. We're gonna roll right through this group of folks. So let's see. Dan Smith, you posted something earlier, but I couldn't tell if you were actually wanting to show something or if you're just trying to be funny. But it looks like you're trying to be funny. So let's roll on to Hein. You still there, Hein?
I am. I have this one.
All right, I got you now.
Yeah. I get this.
Yep. Nice.
Oh, beautiful.
Pull it back towards you, huh?
Oh, I saw that on Facebook.
There
when
you go.
posted it. That was slick.
That is cool.
Cool.
Nice.
Very
And
nice.
He's got another one that's really
I have
slick.
another one.
Ooh.
That's beautiful.
Very nice.
And it's pop up.
You pull it back away from you. I mean, away from the camera.
I'm far away. You good now?
It's getting there. Yep. Pretty.
There.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right there. That's good.
Beautiful.
Yep.
This is a bull from somebody growing chickens. He gave me the piece.
Oh, yeah.
Very pretty.
And then I got Amboja platter.
Ooh.
And
Pretty
this
flat.
is because it's lacquer, but it's not regular lacquer. It's only 2 coats on it.
Gorgeous.
That's
Yeah.
That's smart.
yeah. And I
Very
have
pretty.
something almost in the way to finish. Let's see if you can see it.
Ooh.
Oh,
That's multi-axis.
yes. How many axes?
8.
8. Okay, very good. What
Yeah.
size did
Wow.
you start with? How big was
7.
it?
7 by
7?
7.
Got it.
Yeah, I have
Very
another
nice.
piece. Same
Yeah.
like that. You cut it in half after you're done. That's it.
Very good, Hein. Very good, sir. All
Thank you.
right.
Good work.
Let's go to let's see, let's go to the master slicer. Where you at, Mark?
Okay, let me get up here. Thought
Got
I
you
got a
now.
couple, I got a couple students that challenged me, so so what I had to do was meet the challenge. Let me flip my camera around here. Okay,
Here we go.
here we go. Can y'all see that?
The little bitty one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a tagua nut, which is like
Okay.
vegetable ivory, and so there's a little weed pot made out of a tagua nut. There's a little tiny bowl, and I put this little finial on top of a dime. Can you see that?
Oh
Yes.
my
Oh my
goodness.
gosh.
Pretty little.
Yeah, it had to go in one of my students gave me a bottle that had a 1/4-inch opening, so I had to turn that. And this is a tea light candle that's made out of
Buckeye,
Monkey pod, North Nip, North
Buckeye
Island
Grove,
Pine.
Bucky.
Bucky.
Anyway,
Okay.
Buckeye.
I thought that might
Get it
be,
here eventually.
and then
Wow.
there's a little
That's
box.
very nice.
But Mark, you didn't thread, you should have threaded the finial to put down on top of it.
Way to go, Trey.
All right, that's my new challenge, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh my
threads-
goodness.
And the challenge after that is the threads have to actually work.
Can you remount that piece?
No, it's cut off, but I can make another one.
Yeah, no, I was joking, Mark. I was joking.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
All right,
God,
that's it
Mark.
for me.
Very nice.
Awesome work, Mark.
As
I
always.
was being serious about putting a screw thread on it.
Oh, by the way, just for your information, that tagua nut and that finial had no sanding on it. It was all sliced.
Outstanding.
Absolutely.
Mm.
All right, let's go to Terry. Hey, Terry.
Hey, Terry,
muted.
you're
You're
muted.
muted.
Hi, Terry.
Still
Unmute, buddy.
muted. There you are.
Working, Terry.
Still muted.
Oh no, Terry, you're having mic issues. Terry, I'll come back to you. Let me go to, I'm gonna go to Joaquin, okay? And then I'll come back to you after Joaquin.
Okay.
Hey, Joaquin.
Hey there. Man, this thing sure is washed out. I don't know why. What I got. Well, about 3 weeks ago, the Brazos Valley wood turners asked me to teach some classes on turning the cube. And so I thought I need to do some practicing. So I got this piece of Texas ebony that
Oh, beautiful.
and that's not a chip there, that's a piece of sapwood. And so what I was gonna do is lid, I decided, well, make a top out of the lid.
Oh,
There you go.
Lid. And so I thought, well, I need to try another one. So that had a piece of marble wood out there. And so I made this.
Ooh, look at that.
Love marble.
Beautiful.
Almost a match on the lid. Not quite. But
Looks nice, Joaquin. I know where you're going at with this. You and I know.
Very nice.
all right. And that's all I've done this week.
Right on.
Very
Thanks,
good.
Joaquin.
Cool.
All right, Terry, I'm gonna come back to you.
I got it on now.
All right, I got
There
you.
you are.
We
I
can hear
had
you.
to operate
Hey,
on it. I
Terry.
don't know what happened. Anyway, that sure was a great demo. But I'm gonna go all the way to the other end of the scale. I've got my new customers, and I got some orders for some toy cars. Well, my customers are like from 4 to 10 years old, so they're not real fussy. So, but this is one that I made a turn. They go all the way down. And then I showed this to Joaquin, and he volunteered me for a demo next weekend of making these. So I figure I better show up with something. So I wanted to make, I made one a little smaller, little truck. But that was made so that it would be able to fit on this truck for a hauler. And I was thinking of Captain Eddie.
There you go.
I was thinking of Captain Eddie sitting on the tailgate, and we really didn't have enough room, so I thought I'd get a flatbed. So these are pairs. These are all made in pairs. They're turned like
Nice,
that.
Terry.
They're turned like that. They're nothing
Right.
special. They just got sand and sealer on them. But then I was thinking that we had the stickers, and I thought, well, I'd like to put a sticker on the truck. So I made a bigger truck. This one's a dually.
Oh, yeah.
Made a dually out of this one. And then I got it all done, and the sticker was too big. So I said, well, my friend's got a fancy computer. He can shrink the sticker down for me. Well, they're real busy. So I came up with plan B. I made a bigger truck.
Bigger truck. There you go.
All
And it's
right.
also a dually. It's also a dually.
Wow.
So we got plenty of room on the tailgate now, Eddie.
I know, that's great. There's always been room. Would be more room, but that is nice.
And
Nice.
then,
Puts,
and then the
puts a new
kids
term
they
on
like to
Rolling
go
Thunder.
fast, so I made them. The kids like to go fast, so I made them a dragster.
With slicks, nice.
So
Oh, my.
their demonstration ought to be fun. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit on a demo, thanks to you guys with our 2x4 challenges. I'm going to stretch the demo a little bit into a bunch of 2x4 practice, and then anybody does it, it's so much fun. There's no
Right.
investment, and there's skill building of any kind, and nothing can go wrong because put it in the trash can and
It's
get
only
another
a
one.
demo. Hey, Terry,
And-
you know what else you can do on stretching out your demo? You can mount a cannon on the back of that truck.
Yeah, I already thought about that. I already have.
Okay,
It's actually
okay,
right
right
here.
on, right on. Yeah. Ah, boy.
Oh, there it is.
Great minds think alike.
Gotta shoot a man out though.
The only problem with it is you got to turn the truck to get it in the right direction. Need to put one on a turret.
Yeah, there you go. Make a turret for the next
But
one.
it was all just fun, and it's all getting ready for a demo. And like I say, I got lots of things in the house made out of 2x4s, and I got boxes full of just skill building, columns and twists and everything on it. It'll be a lot of fun. But we hope we get some membership. If any of you guys are ever anywhere near Corpus Christi, would love to have some demos come by. We might even buy you lunch.
Heck yeah. Hey, if I ever make it
We
down
don't
to
have very good
Christie, I'll
friends, but
look y'all up.
There you go.
we sure would love to see any of you guys.
Yeah.
I think
look forward
Joaquin's
to it.
gonna be at SWAT, so I'm thinking he is. So we should maybe get a few more members there. Our membership is still suffering, but we're going along.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right, right on.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks, Terry.
You're welcome.
Great
Always a
stuff.
pleasure every week. All right, let's go to Art B. I think this is the first timer here. Hey, Art.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome
Where you
aboard.
been?
I just showed some stuff a long time ago, but
Oh, okay.
I've been working on some little, I don't know if you can see them, some little coin boxes. They're just little gift
Little higher.
things. And,
There you go.
and you can see they are got a coin in them, and they got, that one's got the Serenity Prayer in the back. I don't know what I got going on.
Okay.
And I've got a bunch of these, and this one's got the camels, and it's one day at a time. And it had some stuff in the back. So I've been doing a bunch of those. Here's some footprints. So footprints in the sand.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I've done some goblets this week that came out okay, I thought.
Yeah, they turned out a little bit more than okay.
Very nice.
Yeah.
They're nice, very nice.
Very nice.
Oh,
very
yeah.
nice.
And they got spalting.
Yeah. Pull it back a little bit. There you go.
Spalting.
There you go.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
One's out of walnut.
Ooh. Oh, yeah.
And I was given a large pearl.
Ooh.
And
Pull it back
I
so we can
did-
see the whole thing. There you go.
Yes.
this has got a top on it. And it had bark inclusion that I don't know if you can see all the way through it or not.
Yep.
But
Yes, sure
Yep.
can.
you can, I had bark inclusion on the top and on the bottom, and it was difficult to turn for me. I got it about 3/8. I don't know. I might have been able to go a little thinner, but and it's all spalted oak, and I thought that came out nice.
That is
Really
gorgeous.
appreciated the demo tonight. Great job. You guys always do a great job. Thank you.
Doing a
That's
pretty
awesome.
good job there yourself.
Thanks, Art. You did a great job yourself, like Brenda
Thank
said
you.
there.
Nice.
Appreciate
All
it.
right. Well, let's go to Tim. Hey, Tim.
Hey, good evening, everyone. So,
Evening.
Howdy.
my wife and I went to an estate sale this past weekend. Man, I tell you what, this is the first time I've been to one that had some decent tools, and I cleaned house.
Good job.
Oh, wow.
40
Nice.
bucks,
Dusty.
45
Bessie.
bucks for a Maxim vise, all those Bessie clamps. And of course, I have my own little clamp wall here, you know.
Don't we all?
My.
Right.
Now you gotta make a new
we
one.
never have enough clamps, but
No.
you know, trying to figure out how to store those Bessie clamps. The guy had passed away, you know, unfortunately. However, I went back and I got the little mount that all those Bessie clamps was on. It was nothing more than a piece of angle iron with a little 1/2-inch rod welded on the back end as a standoff. And I tell you what, that is the slickest thing as far as storing clamps up against the wall that I've seen. I mean, I've come up with some crazy ways myself, but I had to go back the next day, you know, because I felt so bad that I felt I cheated the people by paying such a low price. I mean, it wasn't a estate sale and everything. But I went back, gave them some more money. But the tip thing I want to talk about besides the clamp rack there was, remember last week when I was making this cannon, I was having trouble centering things. And the reason I was having trouble centering things was when I did my practice cannon, I used my cone center. During the demo, I screwed up and I used the other live center. So that's
Makes a
why
difference.
things got a little bit wonky, and that's why I ended up having to cut off about, 3/4 of an inch off the barrel and make it a short barrel cannon instead.
Use
But
under pressure.
if my tip is, and I'm not the world's best turner by any means, but I've learned so much from everybody here. But my tip is, if you're having trouble centering things, go between two cone centers and you'll center up every time. And
Yep.
Lesson learned the hard way. I knew that lesson already, but I failed to put it into practice during my demo. So, hey, thanks for letting me do that demo last week, and I really do appreciate it.
Oh, it's the first of many more to come, Tim.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, let's go to Mr. King. Howard, you out there still?
Yes, I am.
Can you hear me now?
I
We
can
hear
hear you. Now I just gotta
Okay.
find the way you spell your name, because you don't spell it like how.
Okay.
I
All
got,
right,
I
I'm gonna
got you. You got it.
talk. Can you hear me now?
I got you.
Okay. All right, good deal. I guess everybody has a box or a corner in the shop that they throw unfinished pieces in, pieces that don't fit, or maybe you did one more cut, tore up something, but you hated to throw it away, the piece away, or something didn't line up correctly, and so you have a whole box or a whole corner of your shop filled up with stuff like that, and that's what I have, and so I get into it every once in a while and think of what in the world could I put them together. So I put this together.
Ooh.
I call this a black flamingo. Okay. Anyway.
That is
anyway,
cool.
Anyway, this is going to be a base to something, and I made it too small, so I chunked it in the box, and I think this is going to be a stem for something that didn't work out right. And this piece here was a piece of Jared burl, and it was cut in a wedge, like, well, you can kind of see how the wedge was. And this was a finial that I gave up on. But anyway, that's black wood, and that's black wood, and this is black wood. And this is just a handle for a cabinet door. All that glass is. And so I put that thing together. I had to turn this bottom part, and I had to mount it some way so that I could get a stem that this could fit into. And so that was kind of tricky to do, trying to get it centered and look proportional. But anyway, that's what came out. So I guess you'd call it a whirligig or something, I guess. I don't know what you would
I like the black flamingo.
Black flamingo.
I like that.
And it has no
That's-
purpose. It just sits there, just like.
It's an object of art.
That's-
That's what it is.
Yes,
Like
a
a lot of
piece
our
of
stuff,
art.
it just sits there.
A sculpture.
It's a dust
Yeah.
collector.
I guess I could put a motor on it, get it spinning, made it take off or something. I don't know.
Take
Like
that in
it.
there.
Right on, Howard.
Oh,
That'd be
man.
great.
Love to
Very
see your
nice.
work, man.
And
Love
yeah, I got one more.
Uh-oh.
Back last summer, the guy
Uh-oh.
sent me some picture of some ambrosia maple that some guy had cut, and so I've turned several pieces. And so this is kind of a big hollow vase or urn, I guess.
Very
And,
nice.
That whole thing is hollow?
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you see the little guy? Can you see the
Don't
little
believe
guy
you.
in there?
No, don't believe you.
So anyway,
Is he still chipping away?
I think he's eating supper. I'm sorry. I was raised. We had supper. Now it's dinner. Okay.
Supper's fine.
Yeah. I'm used to saying
Still
supper.
supper to
but
me.
My wife's trying to improve me. So
How's
she
that working out
tried-
for?
No doubt.
Well, anyway, we just have lunch and supper.
That's
right.
cool. Looks
Yeah,
like
hope that he's having
stalagmites
better
and
luck than my wife.
stalactites.
Yeah.
That is
So
beautiful.
anyway,
Very
that's
nice.
all I got.
Nice job, Howard.
All right. Thank you.
Good job. Very pretty.
Looks like
Well,
an
I'm not-
ostrich egg.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this guy put anything on, but I got a feeling he's got something he'd like to show us.
Ooh, that's me.
That's
Scared the heck out of me.
Hey, Jim.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, we wanted a wall hanging. They made a
Pretty.
Yeah.
Wow.
wall.
Oh
hanging.
my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
So, with a hook on the top.
It's
Yeah.
nice.
Mm.
Very
Turn on a
nice.
face.
That was a big offset, wasn't it?
You got it. You got it.
It's amazing.
That's
Wow.
that's great. That great use of a thin board. Well, from here to here, that's as big as my lathe goes. So I had a radius at the end of it to make it swing. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Pretty.
That was it. And then I have to tell you, when I started making these checks,
there was no stop on here, and this thing used to slide back and forth on the jaws. And then I put a stop on it, and I ended up putting a stop on the wrong end of it. When you clamp down on here, you're on the solid end of it.
Yeah.
So when I started turning bigger things, I found out you have to make this thing, Joaquin, you watching? Because that,
Yeah.
you have to have the hole over here because you can't clamp on that. It clamps much better. When you get to bigger pieces, you'll find out this works really nice.
Jim, I was demoing at the club that your deal, and I did that same thing. I'm trying to get the solid end.
Yep. Well, I turned some bigger pieces. In fact, this is one of the bigger pieces. This is a 2-center box.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Made
Nice.
Very nice.
with 2 interlocking rings in the top.
Yes.
Very nice.
Wow.
And I didn't scrap the piece doing it, I'll tell you. Anyway,
What
that-
kind of wood is that?
this is cherry, maple, and walnut. I didn't have a piece big enough to do it, so I thought, well, I better put some stripes in it. So I put a bunch of stuff together, and it kind of looks interesting. You can tell if you got this, if you got it centered, because the pattern on the inside will match.
Wow.
You got to think ahead of yourself there, Jim.
All right.
You got to think ahead on that, baby.
Yeah, a little. Well,
A little.
I've been doing a bunch of things. I had a great time. I made bottle stoppers. This is a 2-center bottle stopper,
Okay.
and it's kind of interesting.
Yes, it is.
This is
I'm glad you held that up because it would way I thought you were doing. I thought you're holding the bottom up for us to see, and that wouldn't
Oh.
fit in a bottle too good.
no. It's gonna be really strong. Yeah, but that's one of them. And then this is a 2-center with a circular top.
I like that.
Sweet.
Jim, do you make anything round anymore?
It's really fun. But I got 2 on the. I got 6 of these cut out, and I got 2. One on the lathe right now. That I wanted to get it done, but I didn't get it done. You'll see it next week. I've shown this before. This was the 3-center. I might have shown that before. That's
Oh man. I like that.
3-center.
That's pretty cool.
Anyway, just if you ever do this, turn the whole thing around, and then cut the grooves in here. Cut grooves and leave a round lobe in here, and then you can just cut your centers on the lobe rather than try to cut the whole thing and then try to cut into the offset center. Make the whole thing round, and then cut these grooves in here so you've got a circular disc here, and then put your 2 centers on that. And that really works nice. That'll save you hours. Just if you ever do this. But anyway, it's a lot of fun.
Dave Rhodes, can you clip that out, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jim, for sharing that.
Very good.
Great.
Jim's always thinking way ahead of me.
Light years down the road.
Jim's going to hold his tongue on that one.
Yeah. You should see what's coming next. I'll tell you.
Oh, I know. I can imagine. Oh my goodness.
In fact, that Chuck's going to be in Wood Turning Magazine, issue 385. And then, yes, 385. And then 386 is going to be some two-sided boxes. Two-sided.
It's going to be the, oh my God.
386 will be boxes, but I got a couple after that. I don't even know if they'll publish them. And he wrote back to me a couple of times, like, what is this? And anyway, I had to redraw a few things. It's in there now.
That's
I wasn't
hilarious.
sure it was gonna make it. That's a fun.
Cool.
And it's all little wood. It's all stuff you would throw away anyway. There's nothing big about it. But
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
That's great.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, Tim. Always a
Take care.
pleasure.
Thanks,
All right, and
Tim.
then for our final presentation for this evening, our gallery is coming from Crittendorf, outside of Louisville, Kentucky.
Way
How
outside.
about
of
that? How's that for a wind up?
And it's a ball. Okay. I've mentioned it several times. I'm in a group with a bunch of folks in England, UK, Europe, whatever. It's an international group, another international group, where we have a challenge every month. It's a hashtag kind of thing. Not really a challenge, but a project so everybody can go out, work on a similar project, then we send in our pictures. I did this as a practice piece, just proof of concept, walnut, what is that, 4.5, 5 inches, something like that. And used on this part, this is some color shifting paint. It's called Space Dust. So anyway, that was practice because on Tuesday I had a demo on YouTube. And so I did this one on YouTube, again, with the color shifting paint and on walnut. And it works out just really nice.
Nice.
Every once in a while, this is orange and violet is what they call it. And every once in a while you can see the orange, but you can't really see the violet. I'm sorry, it's orange and gold. Anyway, it's interesting paint. It's an airbrush paint, and I put it on that way. And so they're kind of fun, just something different, out of the ordinary. It's not round and brown. It's got a little color, it's got a little shape on it. Didn't put clappers in them. Wood bell's not going to ring anyway. So what's the point of putting a clapper in, right? So anyway, you may have seen I did 3 pins that I did for the store, my store store display. I don't have them there at the store, and I think one of them actually sold today. So I'm happy about that. That's all I've got.
All right.
Thanks,
Sounds good.
Doug.
Thank you, Doug.
Looking
By
good.
the way,
All right.
Doug, pens look great.
Well,
I think
thank you.
that wraps things up for gallery. Thank you all for all the wonderful pieces we saw tonight. Again, we had a fabulous demonstration done by Paul Hannaby from over across the pond in the United Kingdom. And now we are going to go back to our wonderful host, Mr. Captain Eddie.
Well, I tell you
What a-
what, I put a
Just
comment
reel
in
'em
the
in
chat,
tonight.
and you have to save the chat. I mean, nothing else. Donald in Australia says that save the chat, because there's a ton of information there that you want and you'll be asking questions on, and all that's available through the world's greatest wood turning website, worldwidewoodturners.org. Everything you've seen tonight will be there in just a day or two. Dave is our webmaster, a master webmaster, and he puts all this stuff together for us. But we're looking for input from you, our members. And this evening, it was fantastic. We saw Paul Hannaby professionally demonstrate how to turn a piece so well that even our good turners were saying, you don't need to sand that, because he did some beautiful slicing, some beautiful cutting, good plotting, planning. He showed you the books. The references to the books are in the chat. All this is right here on the world's only totally free, absolutely fine, fantastic wood turning meeting. So if you want to be part of the program, jump on board. We'd love to have you there. And if you came by yourself, invite a friend. There's a lot of room on that tailgate. And just like we heard earlier, we got a little bit larger tailgate now. So we got a lot of room out there. So we got plenty of room for you to join us. I looked at the census tonight, and it stayed high all the way through the demo, because we brought you things here, and you brought us things here tonight from all over the world that you may never see at your club wood turning demonstration. And we put that on right here. And then we allow you to repeat it and capture it and look at it and look at it and look at it, look at it, look at it. You want to see how he made those cuts, how he did that shear scraping, how he inserted those, used that scraper he modified to do that plow cut. All that is on our demo. So if you saw a little bit of it tonight or you missed it all, it's right here for you. I'm Captain Eddie Castellano on behalf of the entire staff, members, gang, everybody else on this big butt tailgate back there. I want to thank you for joining us. You make my week, and I hope we make yours. Until next time, I have to go along with what Sue says. Be safe. And I'm going to go over right now and save the chat so Donald doesn't have to be fussing at me. Because Donald will call me. He'll say, you didn't save the chat. He's right. I got all that information right here on my computer at home.